Well, you should see it sometime. I need to tell you about the meeting. Oh, yeah. We were on the stage. Well, good evening. How's everyone doing tonight? Good. I'd like to call the first part of our session this evening, the business meeting, to order. And if we could all rise. For the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The business meeting tonight, we will now take a public input, and that would be regarding the union contract. And again, I want to emphasize that meetings of the school board are conducted for the purpose of carrying on the business of the school corporation in a public session. And the business includes oversight, approval personnel reports, policy development, and direction of the school corporation. So now would be the time to hear from our community in regard to the union contract. Is there anyone that has signed up to speak? Okay, well, then Dr. Case, can you talk a little bit about the teachers agreement?
Sure. At our last meeting, we went through and talked a little bit about what the tentative agreement was. And I just want to thank the teachers and their efforts. I know we've got two representatives with us tonight that served on the bargaining team, and then also for the board members that served as well. I truly appreciate the collaboration and the combined efforts. We are very blessed to have the teachers that we have. And tonight we asked the board to ratify it. The teachers ratified it a couple of weeks ago. And we're asking the board to ratify it, and then we'll get it published and submitted to Gateway, and we'll continue to move forward.
Thank you, Dr. Case. Do I hear a motion for approval of the teachers agreement?
So moved.
Mrs. Starr has moved. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Mrs. McFalls. Is there any discussion?
I just had one question. Do we have, I wondered this year what percentage of our teachers are in the union?
I mean, was it?
We have 104 members.
Okay, so let me do some quick math. I can do that for you real quick. I know they're up a little bit, but I think, if memory serves me right, it was around 80 to 85%. You said 104? About 70%.
What is it?
70%.
70%. Any other questions? Comments? Seeing none, then I'll call the question.
I'm sorry, I have a question. Did we ever figure out how many teachers were affected by the AP stipend being changed?
You'll have to clarify your question.
From my understanding, there was 8 teachers that are going to be getting paid less due to the AP stipend changing, and not all of those teachers are in the union, nor were they able to negotiate. I just wanted to make sure that when we do vote on this, we understand that there are teachers that agreed to make a certain amount of money as part of their salary at the beginning of the school year, and now they're no longer going to be getting that.
The numbers that we ran, nobody will have a decrease in their salaries compared to last year.
Nobody at all?
According to
That's not what I thought. It actually affected 8 teachers.
Okay.
And I worry with that is that these are some of the most qualified teachers that we have in the district teaching AP and dual credit classes.
Any other comments? Questions?
I'm gonna vote to ratify. Just for clarification, Dr. Kay, so the teacher that spoke last week, okay, was she incorrect in what she said?
It all depends on how the numbers are categorized. So what she was looking at is counting each of the Ivy Tech courses as individuals. So when you look at, and I will just use that one for a specific, that teacher will get more on her stipend this year than what she had last year. But if she were to go through and get individual for each and every Ivy Tech credit that was on there, it would have been significantly different this year.
Okay.
Correct. But even when you look at it compared to what the Indiana courses, in the way that it's structured, in order for the university to give a student dual credit for that particular class, it has to be listed multiple times on your schedule, even though she's only teaching that class during that one period. For example, it was listed as part of the SRT and the first hour, being that it's extended throughout the day, and so that the university would give the student 2 credits for it as opposed to the 1.
But to clarify, the AP stipend amount is going up by a small amount, but the fact that you're going to be taking it away from teachers that are teaching unique classes more than once, that is completely being taken away. So that is why there's actually a substantial amount of difference in decrease in pay. And I'm gonna abstain because I'm married to a teacher that this is affecting, but
Sure.
I just want to make sure that we're clear.
Sure, and that's what the teachers proposed in their, that came from the teachers.
Well, I understand that there was a teacher there that teaches an AP course in the discussion, the negotiation, but I don't believe that there was a teacher that taught multiple AP courses in the bargaining discussion. That could be wrong.
Okay. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of approving the teacher agreement, signify by raising your hand. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are any opposed? Raise your hand if you're opposed. And I have 1 abstention. So the vote is 5-0-1. So at this point in time, formally, we have to make a motion to adjourn the business meeting.
Move to adjourn the business meeting.
Moved by Mr. Martin. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. McFall. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of adjourning the business meeting, signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Motion passes 6-0. And now we can move right on until the work session, and there are no votes being taken this evening on any of the items on the work session. We are gaining information that will be important to the next business meeting that we have. And I don't think we need to go through the Pledge of Allegiance again, but we will have public input. Was there anyone that signed up for public input on the work session?
No, there was not.
Okay. Well then, first discussion item is 2A, equestrian team proposal.
So a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, Mrs. Jones had reached out and asked to be able to present and talk to the school board in regards to the possibility of starting an equestrian team at East Porter County Schools. She and I have talked briefly about it and recommended that if the board so chooses to look at maybe what we do with our clay crushers. However, I would like to invite Mrs. Jones to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you. I'm Shelley Jones, and this is Tanya Mish. She is, well, Dr. Case graciously allowed Bronwyn, my daughter, to represent as a one-person team, the Couts school, because there wasn't time to come before you before our season, which was last month. There's 3 shows, one at the beginning of September, and then a 2-day show that are technically separate, Saturday and Sunday. And the Porter County Fairgrounds graciously hosted that because I'm sure you heard there was a fire at the landfill next door to the LaPorte County Fairgrounds at the last minute, and they had to move it here, which was convenient for us. But so Tanya is Bronwyn's regular coach, and had offered to coach her to start an equestrian team. She also coaches Kankakee Valley, Rensselaer, and several homeschool teams. And it was a wonderful experience, much more thorough and strong, much stronger competition even than 4-H, which is a week-long experience. As you know, at the fair for horses, it's 5 days of competition, but you're there for a full week with your horse. And this was, we learned a lot more. It was more intense competition, better competition. And Tanya and her husband, Jim, host the kids at their house. They have an outdoor arena. So the practices are 3 days a week. And they, like any coach, they focus on different things, different days. They bring in experts in the field. One day, a very renowned barrel racer, barrel racer, he came in and he gave the kids individual pointers on their barrel racing, their pole bending. So it's a really intense experience and they learn a lot. And then Bronwyn's classmate and buddy Adeline is one of the other students that is interested in joining, should you approve it. And Dr. Case suggested that we make it a district-wide team. Like my son Henry is on the Clay Crushers, and that's been a really good experience. So something similar to that. And Tanya not only has coached for a long time, but her daughter also was on the Purdue equestrian team. So she's got a depth of experience also what the next step is after middle school and high school. So I didn't know if you would like to add anything.
No, not really, unless you guys have questions. I mean, I have probably 40 some years experience of riding, and my husband's probably, I'd say 50 plus years of riding. So between the two of us, you know, that's 90 years experience is the way I kind of look at it between all of us together. And then we have an assistant coach and she has 40 plus years also. So, but then we do, like, if we did the other schools, I would like to have a team parent help me out would be the thing that I would request of that, because that's a lot to take on all at once. So.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
How many kids have expressed interest?
We have 3 that are interested from Couts alone, and we really don't know what the interest would be at the other 2 schools, but there are several kids from Porter County who show at the fair, so I would imagine some of them might
That's
be
what I was going
interested.
to ask. Can you tell from the kids from Washington and Morgan, how many of those kids would be showing at the fair?
There, I can tell you that the barn at the Porter County Fairgrounds is full every year. There's probably, what is that? That barn you just had to do all the reservations.
It was 108. We had 108 horses there at the show a couple weeks ago.
And it's full for fair as well. Now, some kids have more than one horse that they bring.
Used to clean out all those.
Did
I
you?
used to. When I was young, I didn't clean them out. I hauled them away.
Any other questions? Or?
I just got a question. So competition you'd be looking at are these local ones? Is that kind of
Yes.
the, you stick to the top 3?
It's Rensselaer is where we've had them consistently at Jasper County Fairgrounds and LaPorte. But with the fire this year, it was a last minute thing that they moved to Valpo. And honestly, Valpo is more centrally located for all the schools. And I'd like, instead of hosting the show, I host at Rensselaer. I want to look into seeing if I could host it at Valpo myself that way.
And it brought in, as we said, a lot of kids, and Scouts did very well. Out of the teams are divided by size. So for the size that Scouts was in 2 out of the 3 shows, we got reserve High Point. And I know there was something else I wanted to add, but it's flying out of my head now. So they bring the horses in the evening before, and then the competition starts 8 a.m. on the Sunday because it's a school night, 9 a.m. on the Saturday shows. There's 2 Saturday shows, 1 Sunday show. And there were kids from Valparaiso, Hebron, LaPorte, New Prairie. So Tanya said it's getting so big that they might try to break off into regional because it's just growing every year.
Thank you for sharing.
Well,
all
thank
that
you for
great
listening.
information. Next on the agenda
Is
is,
there any other information that the board would like us to collect or anything along those lines?
Oh, I know what it was. I don't know if it is provided in the packet that you were given, but just so in case you think to ask later, the fee for the kids this year was $200, and that includes insurance through the organization and all of the trophies and ribbons
And paying for the judges.
and the judges' fees.
so everything we have here is a question club bylaws with all that information in there. So thanks for providing that as well. And Doctor, I don't have anything else that I have a question on, unless any other board member
Input from you.
That sounds like a great opportunity for all of the kids in the district.
That's middle school, high school.
Oh, and it's middle school and high school. So technically they're a team, but they would compete in those 2 different age group divisions.
Do you have a plan for how you would go about like promoting it at Morgan and Washington and encouraging other COUT students to join?
Well, I know Tony Shively, who has been really wonderful. I know he said he had worked with you a lot for devising our team, and I'm sure you've heard, stepping down and just taking over the sporting clays. But I will certainly pick his brain on how we always did all of the signups here in Couts, but they just said at our banquet that they want to start moving things to Morgan because it's centrally located as far as the banquet goes. And so I guess we would have to learn who the secretaries of the other 2 schools are and get in their newsletters and find out what you need for. We also know the moms here and the grandma that run the drama club, which is fairly new. So we can also learn from what they've been doing.
Okay. The next item on the discussion items is item 2B, senior parking spots at Couts.
At this time, I'll turn it over to Ms. Blakely.
Earlier this fall, I had a group of seniors come down to my office and present an idea regarding being able to paint their parking spots for the year to kind of celebrate the fact that they're seniors all year. I was pretty excited at the opportunity. I gave them some homework to kind of go come up with a plan, tell me what it would look like, how would we keep this school appropriate and positive, how are we going to get the paint, and kind of gave them some questions as far as cost and whatnot. And I was beyond impressed that they came back with those answers, as well as with the help of a couple of our parents in the school to come up with a plan. So I'm sure it's been included in your packet, hopefully. Okay. All right. So this plan we kind of came up with for if it were to be allowed to happen this year. The dates and cost and whatnot are reflective towards what might be allowed this year. And I feel like we've lucked out because it hasn't really gotten cold yet. So it could possibly still work. But if you look in your plan, it's an outline of how the students are going to submit the design. So they would be submitted to administration for approval, whether that is digitally, whether it is on paper. Administration would sign off on it, and the students would be allowed to begin painting their parking spaces with the stipulations listed on the paper. So if you look at it's a 6-inch margin, we're not painting over parking lines. We're not causing any confusion in the parking lot. We're not painting over our parking spots. As well as, one thing that's really important that I really did stress to my seniors was that this has to be essentially erased before they are able to walk at graduation. So it would be painted over with, black paint or, something that we come up with maintenance to be appropriate for that. For this year, the senior parking spots are for the most part in one area, but it would look a little patchwork for this year. Obviously, if this were approved in the future, we can move all of the senior spots to one area. It's a little bit more cost effective as far as covering it up and maintaining it and whatnot for that. So, questions?
I have a question. What about, and I looked through here, but what happens if a student has a parking spot that is a handicap parking spot?
We do not currently have that issue, but we could definitely work around that and make sure that the handicap sign is clearly visible as well as marked in the pavement.
What if there were seniors who don't drive? Could they like rent a parking spot if they still wanted to do?
Sure.
Do you have enough parking spots to give them if you're looking at keeping them separated?
We do. Yep, we do. We have more than plenty currently.
Any other questions, comments?
In order to do that, though, they still need to make and maintain their grades and all the requirements as any other driver.
Accurate, yes. Yep.
Do we allow it at other campuses, at Morgan or Washington?
This will be a first.
If I may, that idea was just brought up to Morgan as a fundraiser for the school, asking seniors to pay for the privilege of painting their spots.
We wouldn't want to do it as a fundraiser. Our seniors have their specific fundraisers. This would be just kind of an additional fun thing for them to celebrate their senior year, but definitely possible.
Any other questions, comments?
I like the idea. We did it when I was in high school. It was fun, kind of a bonding thing to go out and paint with your friends. It's fun to pull up and see something you decorated every day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, discussion item 2C, cross-country at Morgan Township. Mrs. Taylor.
Thank you. Of course, I printed my material and left it on my desk properly, like everybody does. As you know, I've been coaching track at Morgan for the last 4 years, and talking and now cross-country coaches, we have neither one of the campuses in this quarter has a home course, which means none of our kids seniors don't get their senior nights. There's not a single home event to celebrate. There's not financially, there's no way for athletic department to earn any money to cover costs associated with cross-country season. Particularly in Morgan, because our campus is a little smaller, our teams end up practicing on roads, which is fairly common practice. Only in my middle school, just the middle school cross-country team, boys and girls combined, there's over 50 kids. That's a lot of children out on the road. We do our best to comply with safety and they borrow our athletic department golf cart, but this is a huge liability in my eyes. We do have the resources. Morgan does have the land around the farm field currently. Majority, and I hope you have the maps with proposed courses there. Realistically, there's very little work that would need to be done. Most of the course for at least the middle school, which is 3 kilometers, is being mowed by the maintenance department. There may be some limbs need to be cut behind the softball field, just some tree work, but that's a one-time expense. If we were looking to add a 5K course, which would accommodate high school as well, we would need to go on the outside edge of the current farm field, which we thought would require to diminish slightly the size of the farm land. But actually, Mr. Kenworthy and I were out by that field yesterday, and we looked at the property line. I think realistically, it might have to be cleared some brush, but I think we actually do have the space on that will be west edge of the field. So I think the requirements to diminish the field actually less than I thought in the original proposal. Once the leaves are down, we'll be able to see it a little better. The expense to implement, if we're going for the 5K course, would be the western edge that would need to be reseeded with grass, and northern edge as well, and everything associated with this, the aerating, rolling, normal field maintenance procedures. Mr. Kenworthy provided an estimate about $800 to complete this work, which athletic department Morgan currently has. As for the benefits, besides the excitement of having a home course, obviously we'll be able to host our local teams that will not have to go travel far. While we have slight elevation changes, it's a fairly flat course. It's going to be a fast course. It's going to be a fun course. On the competition, the race day, it would involve closing off the north driveway, just putting barriers there. And all the main entrance is going to happen from the southern driveway. We currently can accommodate team camps. It's also on your map in front of the track. So we have pretty nice setup with separate spectator parking, separate team parking on the camp areas on the grass. The course layout will require some paint marking, not something in line with what soccer uses and baseball and softball. We also currently have a system with ropes and stakes to outline that. And the benefit goes really beyond just Morgan athletic teams. Our PE classes will be able to use the 1 mile course. It's not just endless laps around. My distance runners in the track will be able to run there. So during the practice time, when the road's not completely closed off to traffic, it would require a coach standing and guarding the passing over the driveway. But this is so much safer than 50 kids running on roads. It would allow us to host community races, be it just a fun Halloween race in a costume or a fundraiser, and can be used in a number of ways, and really would maximize resources that school currently has. It's underutilized, and that will provide so much more visibility just with the community races. We have a very strong runners community in the area. To draw them to schools and introduce them to community. Maybe we'll be there and see baseball field and would like to support a baseball team by donation. So I think it's really, I do not see any downsides in this project, to be honest. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Have any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
I see amazing potential. My question would be though, volunteers. I see there's a lot of turns and hairpins involved, which is great. I just know you'd probably need more volunteers to say, hey, turn here, make sure people are.
I think a lot of it can be actually marked, particularly around the pond, because we really want that marked up. So I do have physical there. I have the stakes with the rope, flag rope that marks it. Some of it can be marked with a ground paint, spray paint, which we have the equipment. And it's a matter of putting, green arrow here, this direction, and the red arrow there. And obviously there will be volunteers. I fully expect when my middle school has an invitational that my high school is going to come and watch the turns. Yes.
I'm just curious, how did you designate the start area? It seems like it's out in the middle of nowhere.
It's on our discus throwing area. It's a discus sector.
Okay.
So it's a flat area that allows a large group to start. It has a little elevation. So actually they start with a little downhill and going down and then funnels the rest of it.
I think Morgan has a very strong cross country.
Our girls are going to state for the 4th time in a row. And the boys just ran in regionals as well, which is quite an achievement, yes. And that starts with our 50 kids in middle school.
Right.
And that's against all class sizes of schools.
Yes, that is entire state of Indiana.
That's the
Yes.
amazing thing about cross country is it's still how it was back in the day.
Tracks the same way, yep.
I have one more question.
Sure.
Looking at the closest and right the start, like the team camp that you have, will the part of the cars go directly over the track? Is that what that represents, or is it like around it?
Yes, they'll go over, follow the track, yes. So I think the finish line is going to be at the track finish line.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Mrs. Taylor.
Cool. And I have talked with Mr. Kenworthy, and he believes that we would be able to do most of that stuff in-house with our cedar and all that other stuff.
Okay. Next on the agenda is discussion item 2D, calendar discussion.
So in front of you, I figured we would start the calendar discussion as we've got it set up for our discussion meeting on Thursday with teachers as well. And then we even talked about it a little bit with the administrative team this morning. The calendar in front of you, there are two of them actually. One of them is just the traditional calendar that we have. But in our conversation with the administrators today, there was some concern or thought about potentially changing parent-teacher conferences and not setting it up right in front of fall break, because as I shared with you in my update, we saw a significant drop in attendance this past week. And so there's been a couple different ideas. Some schools have gone where they no longer have parent-teacher conferences in the week of the fall break, simply to encourage the attendance. And so there was some asking today, would it be possible to set parent-teacher conferences at a different time other than the fall break week? But the other proposal that you see, because, in my almost 7 years of sitting in this seat, I know every year I get asked about moving it back. And so I thought I would.
That's good. There's a second option here. I like that second option.
The difficulty is nobody else in the county is using that second option.
Well, that's why it's really an option. That's what I meant.
So I did want to show what it looks like if we were to do that. The biggest difficulty that we have, well, there's a couple of them. Number one, nobody else is starting that late, which creates some challenges and difficulties when we look at our shared services. The other difficulty that you have is if the board is considering a referendum in that particular in 26, it would be advantageous to have more school days before a referendum were to be called, because it allows you to be called to action. The other part that you have to look at it too is it really shortens that first semester. We're already at a discrepancy of the number of days that we have first semester in comparison to second semester. And the other part that we have to look at too, by pushing that puts us later in the school year, which means we have less time for students to get that instruction before we take iLearn, before they take SATs, and so they're not getting the instruction ahead of time. Their instruction would actually come after the state assessments and the other assessments. So that's just something that we have to take into consideration. But knowing that those questions would come, I did put together, this is what it would look like if we do that, but that would not be my recommendation.
Well, it's interesting though, your first semester and second semester days are the same on both calendars.
That means that the numbers might be off.
I was actually concerned about Christmas break. It was very significantly different. We have a lot more days off on one than the others that tend to be, I think it's 3 as opposed to 1.
Yeah, to make up for that time.
Because I was trying to make up for that time.
And Thanksgiving goes from 3 to 2.
Yeah.
Correct. Again, trying to get that instructional time to go through there, because both of them actually end before May.
What, in your superintendent discussions with your comrades, have the big schools and the other schools that were in this already decided on calendar? They've already set calendar?
They have
So is this really not
2
even
or
an
3. There's always an option.
option? Yeah, right.
The option is if we want to go to be different, which is an option.
Yeah, right.
But I will tell you that some of them have already.
I think you put that second one together to placate Mr. Martin and Mrs. Sturpfer, who's not here.
I just know that every year I get asked the same thing.
Yeah,
so I
that's
was
what I'm
sitting
saying.
going, This is what it would look like,
Always good to have choice.
always.
I did try to look up and see if Belleville had came out with their calendar yet, and they hadn't put it out publicly yet, so I didn't see that because, and as much as personally, I would rather start later, but I think I've heard from plenty of other like special ed families that would prefer us all, the whole county to do the same schedule, because that's easier for their families. So,
When you have those shared services.
right, I think that's like really important to them.
Well, that's one of the reasons we've done it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the main reason. we've
Yeah, I
done it.
mean, I prefer it later, but again, if it's better for other families to be together.
And I will tell you, the number one concern that I hear about our calendar, and I know we pushed it back and we were able to do it 2 years ago, because it was creeping up really early in August, is the Porter County Fair. They trying to get 2 weeks between the fair and the start of school, because so many of our families are booked all summer long because they're taking care of their livestock as they're preparing. And so that's really after the fair is the only time they even have for family vacation. And putting only a week between that makes it really tight. That is a concern that I frequently hear.
Dangle the carrot in front of me.
What's that?
He dangled the carrot in front of me. I know it was not there.
Any other questions, comments?
I had a question. I know based on your email with our absences for fall break, was there any consideration of putting that e-learning / professional development day that's currently on September 30th to the 21st?
We did talk about that, but I don't remember. Help me with that.
Well, I mean, it's gonna completely obliterate our attendance that day then, because the people will just take the entire week off.
Right.
So then the problem is then we're not having participation in our conferences. We've seen a steady decline over, I don't remember how many years, but a lack of participation with parents and participating in conferences because
Yeah, because they're off.
it's easier to leave.
Has there been any consideration of Zoom conferences for parent teacher? I'm a big proponent of in-person
We
and
did
meeting.
talk about that, and the concern again is having that ability just to connect and have that face-to-face with parents. As a matter of fact, Mr. Fields, don't mean to put you on the spot, but I know that he's the one that expressed the biggest change in their the parent attendance for the middle school this year. It dropped
by about 11%.
Wow.
And we have data going back to 2013. And we had an 11% participation drop this year over last year.
Can you speculate as to why? Do you think it's just people were taking the time and they were out on vacation, or?
We also had the largest number of student absences last week. We had some parents that had scheduled conferences, but then were no-shows. And when we checked attendance, they were gone for the week. So, I mean, our middle school was challenged to go out and get conferences and schedule with people that had not volunteered to have one. And then we did the same challenge to our high school staff to use those half-day afternoons or that 2-hour period to go and schedule some. We had some in person, and we did have quite a few virtually or via telephone.
Okay.
But we were still down considerably.
Thank you.
Because one of the questions they asked was about just making it a week fall break or a week Thanksgiving, because we are starting to see significant declines in attendance during those partial weeks. And then my comment to them is, if you're going to do that, we might as well go to a balanced calendar, which.
All year.
How was that received?
All year.
Yeah, people think we start early now.
Well, I think it is difficult sometimes to travel just during spring break or just during Christmas break, because it is more expensive to travel during those times. So I think people are always going to look for the short week of school and take advantage of that and just be out for a few days.
So I know you said there was discussion about moving the dates And like,
We just started having discussion and we haven't even talked to the teachers yet.
gotcha.
So I was just letting you know where that all came out after I sent this to you.
Understood. Any other comments? Go
Is
ahead.
that something we could look at, doing like a week at Thanksgiving and then maybe just a day for fall break? I mean, is that something you would want to consider, like, to try and offer the opportunity to still allow families to have that time together while prioritizing parent-teacher conferences and encouraging attendance in schools, allowing some flexibility there, possibly?
Did you say one day at fall break and a week at Thanksgiving?
Yeah, if that's even possible, because that would add.
Anything's
Well, I
possible.
think we have to adjust Christmas break more so. I'm just looking
Yeah,
at the,
right,
but I mean, right now, the 12th one, we have the
because
2026.
it's just too, yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Give it 10 days. With the, final day falling on the 21st for grades, and a quarter, sorry.
Because the other thing we try to do is we try to spread out those breaks simply so that they're, gives people a chance to catch their breath and recharge and then come back.
I'm trying to hold that ending before June 1st.
Right.
So.
If I could say something, I don't want to interrupt anybody because the sound is a little bit delayed sometimes, but just as being a former teacher in the district teaching special education, I worry that the further away we get from the other Porter County schools, particularly Valpo with the Career Center, the more those calendars don't align, the more difficult it is on our families. So just to keep that in mind, like, I understand that, like, just this past, those 2 half days, the students that had vocational, they had to find their own rides there on those half days, their own rides home, I want to say. So I know that impacted some families in that way. So just something to keep in mind, that does really impact, like, the further we get away from the calendars, like Valpo, who has most of our Boone Grove, Valpo, we have shared services with, the more difficult it is on the other families
Good point.
that utilize those services.
Good point. True. Any other discussion? Well, seeing no other items, all those in favor of adjourning for the evening, we don't even need to vote. I'll just make a decision. Go ahead.
That's fine. I wondered if Vanessa could clarify to the community and in this setting, the significance of November 6th and what's happening with planning. I mean, we talk about Valpo schools and
November 5th, but yeah,
sorry.
no, it's okay.
Go
Am I
ahead.
allowed to talk about that?
Sure.
So November 5th, there's gonna be a meeting at Valpo, City Hall from 4:30 to 6:30. And so it'd be great if everybody could attend because they're gonna be showing the options for the 400 North, 500 North property. And they're gonna show a few options to the public and then ask for feedback. So, and if you're not familiar with that property, it was annexed. So originally, I guess, for the sports complex.
It was gonna be a big sports complex.
Right.
That was the dream, and that price came in about twice what they thought it was gonna.
Right, and they used ARPA funds for that, to buy that property for that purpose. And then that fell through, and then they were gonna put a data center there, and that fell through. So now they're thinking about doing something different there. And they have a couple of options, and they're trying to do this differently and include the community. So it's important for us to show up and give our opinions. So, I mean, it could really impact East Porter County especially, because if they put housing on that property, those students will be Washington Township students, but the funds, the property tax, that's gonna flow towards Valparaiso and not Washington Township. So,
Well, so far, any residential has had to follow. And Valpo has not done any residential areas where they TIF. Okay, chances are probably these plans include their ideas to TIF it, to be able to develop it. But also the other thing that Vanessa put forward to board members this week, and I just got tired of fighting this battle many years ago, But
I remember.
if you had any idea how many $100 million are now TIF'd,
$230 million.
okay, in East Porter County,
Nope,
that,
50% of that is Washington Township, yeah.
that's mostly us. But that's all of us. That affects our tax rates, those dollars, anyway. Though they try and argue differently, but I'm sorry, I sat in with the guy that wrote the law and I know what the intent was. And it wasn't what it's doing right now. But the other thing that Mrs. Moore brought to our attention was that there are other ideas about plans in Morgan Township for where Family Express owns and potentially what could happen there if Valpo ran sewer and water there, which I have no problem. I have no problem with progress. I have a problem with progress when they take my money to do the progress and I don't have any voice in it. And if they did that one, the only way they could do that one would be to TIF that area. And then they would say, probably, we're gonna have to TIF the residentials. Also, we're sorry, although we've never done that before. And then you get no money from those homeowners where you have the kids coming and you don't get any money from the assessed value. So anyway, both those things are important as community, and we're on internet. I'm not a big technology. Nobody knows that I'm not. But anyway, Vanessa is, Mrs. Moore is, and she is, I'm technologically literate enough to be able to read. And it's important for us to be at those meetings just to voice opinion, because if you don't, they come out and say, well, we asked the community and nobody had any opinion. So spread the news to your comrades and realize that they're looking east and south again. And it's important for us to understand what's going on in our district. And Mrs. Moore has kept up on it. Mr. DeSuite is our representative on the redevelopment commission. What's interesting is since 1993, school boards across the state of Indiana have asked the legislature to put a voting member of a school board on redevelopment commissions. Still hasn't happened. The members that strictly sit as observers. Okay, and that is a crock, all right? It just is. Anyway.
The other part is housing the TIFs used to have to go before the school board to say that it's okay. They removed that from legislation. Now they can do it without it.
Well, they removed it from legislation, but we had an agreement. We had a memorandum of understanding with Valpo, because that's why, I mean, we went to court with Valpo, and that's why much of the AV that's in Porter's Vale still passes through, because we sued him. And that's why I'm saying the guy that had written the law was still sitting in the legislature. All right. And when we went before them and complained, he said to Valpo, you need to talk to East Porter County before we're going to improve anything, because that was the intent, was not what you're using it for. So anyway, so we just need to stay abreast of it, or we could see tax rates affected again.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mrs. Moore is who you need to.
I thank Mrs. Moore many times and even had a breakfast with her.
All right, anyway, now I move to adjourn.
Now,
Well, wait a minute. Yeah, I think we need to recognize Morgan and Washington. Morgan was fantastic. Washington's cross-country has improved so dramatically under the coaches they have and the desire they have. But it's just fun to hear and watch these small schools who are competing with big-time schools and staying right there. And Morgan, I mean, your success as a track or the cross-country has been great.
Our coaches are amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
There, you usually do that.
Yeah, I usually do that, yeah. And then fitting up, yes. Now we stand adjourned. Thank you very much for attending this evening. A lot of good information, a lot of great things going on.